Hello friends, I am Mrs. Padmaja Tambori. Welcomes you all. Today we are going to discuss about virtual base class and virtual function. Okay, see the virtual function concept comes under polymorphism. So what do you mean by polymorphism? See, polymorphism means many form. Poly means many. Morph means forms. So when there are many forms, this is considered as polymorphism, and this is again one of the important feature of your C++ programming. Now you can take one example. A person at same time can have different characteristics. Like a man at the same time is a father, a husband, or an employee. So the same person has different behavior in different situation. This is called as polymorphism. See, polymorphism is an object-oriented programming concept that refers to the ability of variable, function, or an object to take on multiple forms. A language that features polymorphism allows to develop to program in general rather than program in a specific. Okay, so which concepts comes under polymorphism? See, there are actually two types of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism and second one is considered as runtime polymorphism. Under compile time polymorphism, already we discussed the concept of function overloading, and next day or in next session we are discussing about the operator overloading. Okay, today we are concentrating on our runtime polymorphism. In this, under runtime polymorphism, the main important two concepts are virtual function and pure virtual function. Okay, so today we will concentrate on virtual function. Before discussing the virtual function, there is one more concept. It is called as virtual base class. We will discuss it first. Whenever you want to discuss about virtual base class, you must have to recall the concept of hybrid inheritance. In hybrid inheritance, see, already I told you what do you mean by hybrid inheritance. There is a combination of different types of inheritance. Suppose we will take one example. Here I have one class B as a base class. From this base class, I derived two different classes, D1 and D2. Okay, and from D1 and D2, using multiple inheritance, I am deriving class D3. So, see, whenever you are deriving the classes in this way, at that time what will happen? See, already I told you the public and protected variables of my base class comes into derived class. So all the public and protected variable gets derived in class D1 as well as in class D2. Okay, and from these two classes D1 and D2, when I derived class D3, the data variables of class B as well as class D comes into D3, and from this side the data variable of class B, class D2 comes in D3. So there is no problem related to data variable and member function related to D1 and D2, but there is a problem for class B because there is a duplication of data variables and member function of class B into D3. Correct? So this is a ambiguity, and the solution of this is nothing but virtual base class concept. Okay, so what is virtual base class concept? Already I told you what will happen when we are inheriting different classes under hybrid inheritance. There is a duplication of data variables of base classes. Okay, from this program you may have an idea. Here see class B. The class B is having I variable declared in a public section. Class D1 which is derived from class B. Correct? Already we seen the figure. In class D1 there is a J variable. Okay, and I derived one more class D2 again from class B having K as a public variable. Now see, class D3 is considered as a multiple inheritance. From D1 and D2 I derived class D. So my class D has its variable J, class D1 has its variable J as well as the variable I which comes from B1, and my class D2 has variable K as well as the data variable comes from class B, that is I. So J and I are related to D1, K and I related to D2. So if I declare class or derive class D3, there are combination of I, J and its K variable, but the I variable gets duplicated. Correct? And to avoid this duplication, they are mentioning my class B is a virtual base class. Okay? So virtual word you can use only for base class. You can't use it for derived class. And whenever you are using virtual keyword for a base class, at that time the duplication of the data variable in new derived class gets avoided. This is about the virtual base class. Your virtual base class is always the base class only. You can't use this word for derived class. Okay. Now we will discuss the one of the important concept under runtime polymorphism, that is virtual function concept. Again, before understanding the concept of virtual function, you must know how you are calling the different member function with the help of pointer variable. Because if you want to use the concept of virtual function, you must have to call your member function with the help of pointer variable. First of all, you must have to declare the pointer variable related to base class itself. Okay, you can't, again, means using base class pointer, you must have to access different data variables and member function for derived class object also. Okay, there is no need to declare the pointer variable related to derived class. Okay, and whenever you want to access the data variable and member function with the help of pointer object, at that time instead of dot operator you must have to use the arrow operator. Okay, see, from this function you come to know that how you can use a pointer object to accessing different data variables of different classes. Correct? See, in this program, class base is my base class having one private data variable x and two function void setx and getx. Okay, now in derived class, say class derived, so derived is for one more my class and it derived from base. Okay, it has its data variable y. Okay, with two different member function set y and get y. Now how these data variable and member functions gets accessed with the help of pointer object, we will discuss this. See, in a main program, base star ptr, that, see, already I told you in the concept of functions, basic concepts of function, See, star ptr. So whenever you are declaring variable along with star prefix, it is considered as pointer variable. That means ptr is my pointer object, and as the data type of my pointer object is base, it is related to base class. Okay, so data type of object is class name. You are mentioning the base is my class name. That means I am declaring star ptr. That means pointer object related to base class. Okay, now one more object I declare, derived ob. So derived ob is the object of derived class. Then base ob is my object of base class. I declared my pointer variable ptr only related to base class. Okay, so now you know that how you are storing the address of any data variable or object into pointer variable. You can access the address with the help of ampersand sign. So ptr is equal to and base ob. ptr is equal to and base ob. That means the address of base class object gets stored in pointer variable. And if you want to access the setx function, member function from this base class, you can use ptr arrow setx, and you are passing one parameter 15. So that 15 value gets assigned to I, and this I value gets assigned to x. Like this, the setx function gets executed related to base class object. Now if you want to access the set y function related to, you want to store the x value related to derived class object, derived op. Correct? X value of derived class object. How you can store? ptr is equal to, now give the in pointer variable, set the address of derived class object. How you are accessing address again? And object name. So ptr is equal to and derived ob stores address of object of derived class into pointer variable. Correct? Now ptr arrow setx 29. That means the value 29. It is accessing the function related to set x function. It will access, but now it is related to derived class object, because my derived class object has its own variable y as well as x variable. Okay, so it will store the 29 value to x variable of derived class object, derived op. Okay, now like this, if you want to access the set y function, you can use, see here, set y function gets access with their, they are trying to access with dot operator. Okay, but as this cannot be here, I am not interested to use pointer variable for operating set y function. That's why this set y function is called with the help of dot operator. And you know that this is one of the simplest method to access any member function with the help of dot operator. That is nothing but object name dot function name. So the 2042 value gets passed into or gets assigned to I parameter of set y, and it gets automatically adjusted to y value. Okay, so in short, this program tells you about how you are accessing the member function. You can access the member function with the help of dot operator. You can access the member function with the help of pointer operator. Okay, so whenever you want to access this with the help of pointer, at that time you must have to define a pointer, but the pointer must be always related to base class. It is not related to derived class. Okay, so there are two different methods of accessing data variable using dot operator and using pointer operator. Now why there is a need of using virtual function? Okay, why the virtual function concept gets implemented in C++. See, from this example you come to know need of writing function as a virtual. See, here I declare class as a base class, and in public section I declare variable I. Concentrate on the func function related to base class. See, 1 minute, before this we will take one example. See, in this example, void func is a function related to base class. Same function I declared in derived class d1, which is derived from base. Now there is no need to give more explanation. Class d1 with public base, that means I derived d1 class from the base one, and I wrote one function func same as written in a base class. Okay, see, concentrate on now prototyping of function. Void func and empty round bracket, that means my function type is void, name is func, and brackets are empty, no any parameters. Same here in derived class d1, void func and empty bracket. Same here, void func empty bracket in derived class d2 also. That means now if you concentrate on total member functions related to your derived class d1, there is one func function related to base class as well as one func function of its own. But you can now try to apply the rule of function overloading. Correct? You can apply the concept of function overloading, but here you can't apply the function overloading because here related to class d1 two func functions are there. But as per my rule, if you want to apply the concept of function overloading, at that time the prototype of function must be different, and that's why I'm always many times I am concentrating on the concept of I'm concentrating here on prototyping of function. When the prototype of function is the same, at that time you can't use the concept function overloading, because if I want to use the concept function overloading, then there must be different in prototyping, but it doesn't happen. Okay, so what will be the problem? Same thing for derived class d2 also. There are two func function, one come from base class and its own function func. Again, both functions are same in their prototyping, and the concept of function overloading gets failed. Okay, what will be the problem at when you run your program? We will discuss. Now I am trying to execute my function with the help of arrow operator, not with the help of dot operator. So that's why I declare base star ptr. Again, ptr is my pointer related to base class. Then base ob, in parameter I am passing 10 parameter. Okay, that means I am declaring one object related to base class, base ob. Correct? This 10 value gets assigned to I parameter of my base class object. Then d1 ob is a object related to d1 derived class. Again, same 10 value I am passing to that particular object. That means the value I, see here the base class constructor gets called and the x value becomes 10 once again. In the same way, D2 OB, 10 value I am passing once again. So the X value related to object D2OB of derived class D2 becomes 10. Now see, I am executing my base, trying to execute base class function, say related to base class object, because PTR is equal to and base OB. That means I am storing the address of base class object into my pointer variable, and I am trying to execute function FUNC. So as per rule, as I am storing the address of base class object, the FUNC function related to base class gets executed. Okay, here there is no any problem. But see, when you are storing address of derived class object, that is and D1 PTR is equal to and D1 OB. So what will happen? The address of derived class object gets stored in your pointer variable, and PTR arrow FUNC function. So here there is an expectation that FUNC function related to derived class D1 gets executed, and this is, in this function you are trying to multiply the value I into I, which we are initially assigned 10 value, correct, by using this parameter. Okay, at that time means actually expected answer is I into I, means 10 into 10 is equal to 100, but we are getting the same. That means it prints the value of I itself, that 10. Why it is so? If you observe the output, you come to know that using D1's version of FUNC, you are getting output as 10. That means it is executing the function related to base class. If it will execute the function related to base class, void FUNC, correct. In the same way, you are storing address of object related to D2 class. PTR is equal to and D2OB. That means address of derived class 2 object gets stored into PTR pointer, correct. So whenever you are trying to execute the function, the FUNC function related to derived 2 must have to execute, correct, and it will print I plus I value. That means my I is 10, 10 plus 10, 20. The expected answer is 20, but still you are getting the answer as 10. Using D2's version of FUNC, you are getting answer 10. That means what? It is not executing the FUNC function from your derived class D1 as well as from derived class D2, whereas it is always trying to execute the function related to your base class, correct. And this problem comes when there is a failure of function overloading concept. Why my function overloading concept fails? Because my rule is there may be more than 2 functions with same name, but they must be differ in their prototyping. And here my all functions or FUNC function related to D1 derived class as well as related to D2 derived class, these are same in their name as well as same in their prototype. So I can't use the concept of function overloading. When you are trying to execute the function, it will always concentrating on the function related to base class. Okay. Now how this problem gets solved? This problem gets solved by declaring base class function as a virtual function. Okay. So if how to now see virtual function, we will see some concept related to virtual function. A pointer declared as a pointer to base class can also be used to point any class derived from that base, correct. Already I just told you this point. Means you can execute any function with the help of pointer, and the pointer must be related to base class. No need to declare pointer variable related to derived class D1 or any other derived classes. Okay, so we can use base pointer to point to derived class object, but we can access only those member function of derived class object that were inherited from the base class. The base pointer has knowledge only of base class. It knows nothing about the members added by derived class. Correct? The pointer of derived class type cannot or should not be used to access the object. Okay, so that's why we are going towards the concept of virtual function. And see, when you are applying concept function overloading, at that time, at the time of compilation only, compiler take decision which function gets executed according to the prototype of function. But here, whenever you are applying the concept of virtual function, you are accessing different member function with the help of pointer, correct, with the help of pointer variable, and each and every time you are trying to store the address of object related to which function, related to which class the function gets executed. Okay, already I explained this with the help of program. So at the time of run, the address related to pointer gets checked, and according to that the function gets executed. That's why this concept or this technique of waiting until runtime to determine the implementation of procedure, and this technique is called as late binding or dynamic binding. So whichever concept you are applying for function overloading, the decision is taken at the time of compilation, and this concept is considered as static binding or early binding. But here runtime decision is taken which function gets executed. That's why it is called as late binding and dynamic binding. Correct? So virtual function is a member function that is declared within a base class and redefined by derived class. Correct? So runtime polymorphism, when virtual function is called through a pointer, when a virtual function is redefined by derived class, the keyword virtual is not needed. We will take one example. I will explain all those points. See, one more program I will take, same program but using the concept of virtual. See here, the same program is there, but see, already I told you, whenever you are not using this virtual, see, class base, public integer I, base integer x, I is equal to x, virtual void function. Okay, that means I am adding only virtual keyword related to this func. The remaining program is same. That's why we will directly, here also there is, in derived class D1 there is one more function void func which multiply the I variable which comes from base class. Okay, here there we derived D2 class from base, correct, wrote one func function which adds the value of I variable which comes from base class again, correct. So here again same main program is there, base star ptr. So ptr is a pointer related to base class. I am declaring object of three different classes, base ob, d1 ob, d2 ob, and passing 10 values, correct. So see, first time I am executing or storing the address of base class object into my pointer variable and trying to execute a func function. So what will happen in output side, you can come to know that it will execute the func function related to base class and print original I value, correct. Now in second, ptr is equal to and d1 ob, that means I am trying to store address of derived class D1 object, correct? So it will execute the function related to derived class, and using so it will give my me output as using D1's version of function. So it will multiply the values of I into I and gives me output as 100. Now at the end I am considering PTR is equal to AND D2OB. So my pointer now holds the address of derived class D2. Okay, and it will execute the function related to derived class D2, which is used to add the values of I variable. So at the end, using D2's version of function, I am getting the output as 20. That means addition of 2 I variable. Okay, so whenever you are using only keyword virtual, the function related to respective classes by checking the address of pointer variable, which object's address gets stored in pointer, according to that it will try to execute. That means at the runtime it takes the decision which function gets executed by checking the address in pointer variable. That's why this concept is considered as runtime polymorphism. At the running time it will take the decision which function will be gets executed. So function overloading is the concept from compile time polymorphism. It is called as correct, and the virtual function concept is related to runtime polymorphism. Is that clear? If you are not using virtual keyword in a function which have same name and same prototype, that is considered as static binding or early binding, and it will try to execute the function related to base class itself. It doesn't know the different addresses related to derived class. Is that clear? This is about the virtual base class and virtual function. There is one more concept. In short, I will tell you the concept of pure virtual function. The pure virtual function is nothing but there is no any statement related to virtual function, and we are mentioning that virtual function means data type, name of virtual keyword, data type, function name. Here virtual void draw equal to 0. This is the syntax of declaration of virtual function. Okay, so see here, virtual return type function name equal to 0. This is the syntax of declaration of pure virtual function. And whenever such pure virtual function you are mentioning in any class, that class is considered as abstract class, because sometimes there is no need of writing the statement in my function related to base class. That time I can declare that function, virtual function, as pure virtual function. Okay, and the class is considered as abstract class. Okay, is that clear? Okay, today we will stop and we will take last session as operator overloading.